Coming up here on the Raiders Report, I'm going to be looking at all the Raiders position groups, and I'm going to be ranking them from 12 down to 1. So full, positions that we're going to be looking at: quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, interior offensive line, offensive tackle, defensive end, defensive tackle, linebacker, corner, safety, special teams. I hope that is 12. But we're going to be going from 12. We're going to work our way down to 1. On top of that, I'm also going to tell you my confidence level in each of those units, and I'll try to do my best to explain why I'm very confident or why I'm not very confident in a certain unit. I'll say this, though. I am confident in what Antonio Pierce and Tom Telesco are doing. When you look at this roster from top to bottom and understand, and I think for a lot of people that watch this show, with the amount of times that we talk on this show, the amount of graphics that we show, you got to be able to watch and you got to be like, all right, man, this is a much, much better team than what we were rolling with Josh McDaniels, with Dave Ziegler, and I'm feeling pretty damn confident in this roster from top to bottom. So my confidence level meter, and for people that watch pretty often, you probably already know where I am at, and it's the way that I do grades. Think of it as A, B, C, D, or F. So from 90 to 100 on my confidence meter, I'm very, very confident in that unit. From 80 to 89, confident. 70 to 79 in the middle. I can make an argument why I am. I can also make an argument why I'm not. 60 to 69, I'm not confident. If it's 59 or below, zero confidence in that unit. It's probably the worst one in the National Football League. So the way that we're going to do this is we're going to go from the least confident to the most confident on today's show. The position group that scares the hell out of me the most on the Las Vegas Raiders is the running back room, which I actually think that a lot of people thought that I was going to go a little bit of a different direction. The reason why this unit is number 12 to me is because I don't really view Zamir White as a top 20 running back in the NFL. I don't view Alexander Mattison as a top 30, 40 back in the NFL. Yes, Madison can pass block. That's great. Yes, Zamir White had a final 4 games that were pretty strong. But overall, Amir Abdullah scares me a little bit. I think Dylan Laube can be a good pass-catching running back. But legitimately, if one of these guys goes down, even your backups, there's not a lot to prove there. My confidence level in the running back room as it stands is a 65 overall. I know that Zamir White can be good. I know that Alexander Mattison can also serve a certain role. But if you told me at the end of the season that the Raiders are one of the worst rushing teams in the NFL in a Luke Getsy offense, I'll also sit up here and say, yeah, I'm really not all that surprised. Let's go to number 11 here on our position group rankings. Shout out to Prize Picks, our sponsor. It's quarterback. And I know that we're going to talk a lot this offseason about Aiden O'Connell. I know we're going to talk a lot about Gardner Minshew. But there is that old saying, if you got 2 quarterbacks, you don't got any quarterbacks. And Gardner Minshew, not a top 20 quarterback in the NFL, maybe somewhere around 24, 25. Aiden O'Connell, not a top 35 quarterback in the NFL in my book. Good backup. After that, though, again, a lot of just unknowns from top to bottom. And when you do these rankings, you have to do them based on where the Raiders rank, not only in their own current roster, but also where do they rank amongst other NFL teams. And the reason why it's a 67 overall for me is because do the Raiders have the worst quarterback group in the National Football League? There's an argument to be had that that's a yes. That's not me sitting up here saying I hate the Raiders. When I do this show, I'm going to be honest with y'all. And to me, there's only a few teams that you can make a legit argument saying that's the worst quarterback room in the NFL. The Broncos are absolutely one of those teams. The Raiders got to be there in that mix. I think you could probably throw out a team like Indy, maybe a team like Tennessee in that mix as well. Bottom line is, I could sit up here and make an argument that the Raiders have the worst quarterback room in the NFL. For that, it's a 67 on the confidence meter. But here's the fun question, because I've seen a lot of people saying the Raiders are going to be somewhere around 6.5 wins. I've seen the Vegas odds, yet they won 8 games last season with a worse roster. My question to you is, this is also going to be the pinned comment, how many games will the Raiders win with Aiden O'Connell or Gardner Minshew at quarterback? If you want to be an overachiever and tell me your projection with AOC, go for it. If you want to be an overachiever and give me your projection with Minshew, both of those guys, hey, go for it. My answer coming up after this YouTube ad break. I believe that the Las Vegas Raiders are going to be somewhere around 9 to 10 wins this upcoming season. You went 5-4 with Antonio Pierce last season. Your defense has gotten better. Your quarterback play has gotten better. Your overall team in general has gotten better. and your head coach is a lot better. So because of that reasoning alone, I don't know if you're going to find a Chiefs win on Christmas, but I'm also hoping that you're not going to lose a 30-12 game against the Chicago Bears. There's going to be some games that you win that maybe you didn't win last year and vice versa. Because of that, 9-10 wins is where I view the silver and black. Let's go to number 10 here on our position group rankings. I'm going to go with cornerback, and I like the young players on this roster. I can make a lot of arguments saying Jacorian Bennett has upside. DeCamerion Richardson has upside. Like MJ Devonshire has upside. The only two players, though, that I can legitimately look you in the eyes and say that I have confidence in them starting is Nate Hobbs and Jack Jones. And because of that, that is why all of these other players are ranked so low, and that's why corner is just such a low group. If you were to ask me right now, Mitch, what's the biggest position of need on this roster? I'll admit, sure, I'll probably still say quarterback, but like legitimate position, I will say corner because this team needs a number one corner, and I don't know if they have one on the roster right now. My confidence level is a 75. There's good players. Nate Hobbs, Jack Jones are why this is a 75. If those two guys are not here, or if one of those guys goes down, then you're looking at one of the worst cornerback rooms in the NFL. So I'm hoping that we go out and add somebody. Let's go to number 9 here. It's linebacker. And I like Robert Spillane. He showed you that he is a perfect fit and what this organization is trying to do. And because he's a perfect fit, to me, it's just one of the biggest reasons why they went out and they drafted Tommy Eichenberg in round 5. But then after that, I want Divine Diablo to be a good player. The other reason why that I have the linebackers ranked higher than corners is because I believe that the Raiders are going to roll with 2 linebackers more than they roll with 3. And because of the 2 linebackers, whether that be a Spillane and Diablo, whether that be Spillane and Eichenberg, the 2 starters I have confidence in. After that, though, again, it's a pretty weak group from top to bottom. The grade that I'm going to give is 77, and I'm giving it a 77 again, more just because I view the starters as being 2 linebackers. They're going to roll with more DBs on this defense. And if Robert Spillane's out there, I got a lot of confidence in that linebacking unit. We're going to get into the top 8 units here for the silver and black. But before we do, I got to give a shout out to our sponsor, Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy. All you got to do is pick 2+ players, choose more or less. I promise you it's really that simple. The Raiders Report is made possible by Prize Picks, and they've got specials for new and returning users alike. Just go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000 with NBA, NHL, and MLB entries today on Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. I know that a lot of times I get asked, Mitch, well, what are we rolling with here during the regular season? Because I always like to try to pick Raiders players and games that are going on that impact the nation. Right now, the only thing that's on Prize Picks, the last time that I checked, was season long around Brock Bowers. He's got receiving touchdowns. He also has receiving yards. So let's play a game here. Let's say you go to Prize Picks. Let's say you use code CLNS at prizepicks.com/CLNS, and you got that $100 deposit match, right? If Brock Bowers, 700.5 receiving yards. Would you say more? Would you say less? I'll be real with y'all. At touchdowns at 5.5, I would say more. 700.5 receiving yards for a first-year tight end wide receiver on a team that also has Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, Michael Mayer, and then you got quarterbacks Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew. I'll probably lean less. Now, it doesn't mean that I don't ever think that Bowers is going to be a stud. Obviously, I do, but there is only one football to go around in a Raiders offense that I don't exactly know what it's going to look like right now. So because of that, I'm going to type my L for less, and it looks like Gatlin Gunn, Jake Serb, and Dexter Boots are also riding with that less as well. Bottom line is, no matter what you're doing, whether it's the NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, if you use Prize Picks, you're going to have a lot of fun. You're going to be able to create some lasting memories and hopefully put a little bit of extra money in your pocket. Let's go to number 8 here for my Raiders position group rankings. I'm going to go with offensive tackle. Colton Miller is why this unit is at 8, because after Colton Miller, there are a lot of unknowns, but kind of like what I said about linebackers, I know one side of the football field is locked down in Miller. Does he have a few injury concerns? Sure, he missed some time last season, but then after that, Thayer Munford, good right tackle. Am I really confident? No. Delmar Glaze, that was a little bit of a reach. Dalton Wagner, good player. Haven't seen much out of him. Andres Pete, can't stay healthy. Jalen McKenzie, a little bit more depth. So when you look at this Raiders offensive line, especially at offensive tackle, my confidence level in that unit is 79, and it's because of Colton Miller. Like, Miller, my confidence level is probably somewhere in the mid-90s. So for that, it's a weighted grade. All those other players, I'm probably a 74, 73 and below on when you look at the offensive tackles in terms of total depth. This is, though, where I think where the the overall roster, you can really start to see the good churning of depth. Safety, right? Like, safety, this was tough. When I ranked them at number 7, I go, man, that's way too low. And then I looked at some of the other spots, and I'm like, all right, well, I can make an argument why safety deserves to be higher. Trevon Merrick, Marcus Epps, they were one of the best safety duos in the NFL last season. Then I also really like the depth on top of that. I mean, you got a guy in Isaiah Balamayo who I'm pretty high on. Trey Taylor's another player that I'm high on. And then Chris Smith is somebody that I'm hoping can materialize into something. The reason why, though, they are at number 7 is because I don't view Epps as being a superstar. I don't view Trevon Merrick as being a superstar. I just view them as being two reliable safeties that have good depth, and my confidence level in our safety unit is an 85 overall. So, like, we jump up big time from offensive tackle, and yeah, you're talking about a position unit that's number 7 that I got an 85. Like, this is where the Raiders roster to me is a lot better than what people give credit for. And if they had a legit quarterback, people would talk about them as being one of the better teams in the NFL. Let's go to number 6 here. It's at the tight end position. Spoiler alert, I'm going to put Brock Bowers in as a tight end, and I'm also going to put Brock Bowers in as a wide receiver. It's going to be something that I do all offseason because he is a hybrid. He's not like a lot of NFL players out there. And because of that, I have them at number 6. So you have Bowers and Mayer. To me, 3 years from now, we're going to talk about Bowers and Mayer as, like, legitimately that next great tight end duo that the NFL is going to try to go out and copycat. But let's also not sleep on Harrison Bryant, a dude that's not afraid to be a tight end 3. I mean, he was the tight end 3 for the Cleveland Browns back when they signed Austin Hooper. They drafted David Njoku, and he still found a way on the field. Why? He's a good blocker. So Bowers is going to be more of that receiver. Mayer's the all-around tight end. Harrison Bryant is more of that red zone option / the blocker. So because of that, my confidence level in this tight end group is an 86. Those first 3 guys, to me, the Raiders have one of the better tight end groups in the entire National Football League. I don't know if it's top 5, but I do think it's a top 10 unit, and because of that, it's an 86. Let's go to defensive end. The only reason why they're here is Max Crosby, and I'm going to be real. Like, you got Max Crosby, Tyree Wilson's going to be thrown here in this group, Malcolm Kuntz. Outside of that, I have no confidence in anybody else that's the defensive end. But because Max Crosby and Devontae Adams are probably the only 2 players on my confidence level that I ranked as a 99, when you add that weighted class in with Malcolm, with Tyree, it comes out to being an 87 overall on my confidence level, which was the 5th highest out of all these. So I didn't do this show based on, like, where I thought the positions were going to go. I did this show based on my confidence level, ranking these players at their positions, putting all the numbers together, and then it spits out me a number. The number that it spit out was 87 for defensive ends. Now, again, it's a weighted grade because it's Max Crosby. If Max Crosby's on one side of the field, that means all I got to look at is those 7 other defensive ends and say, figure it out, because Max has got his shit on lock. Can the other 7 guys on that defensive line figure it out? That question, I'm hoping, is a yes. I know Malcolm can. I believe Tyree Wilson's going to have a major breakout year, but I still feel like we need an extra spot there for a little bit of depth. Before I get into the top 4 position groups here for the Silver and Black, I got to give a shout-out to some of the real ones. We got Ben Thrack, Lost in Tynes, which, you know what, shout out to Lost right now. I got his jersey. I'm going to be rocking this on our live show. Ultra VAB, Nico, Astastic Lads, and then Serge Shy. These are people that I know are always watching our live shows, are always interacting with me on social media, and really are just trying to be a part of the nation. So to the real ones, I see you, and I salute you. Let's go to number 4 here for my position group rankings. And this one, I think, is going to be the one that surprises a lot of people. It's the interior offensive line. So the positions that I'm looking at here are left guard, right guard, and center. I love me some Jackson Powers Johnson. I think he's going to be a legit Pro Bowl offensive guard in the NFL. Andre James continues to get better and better every single year that he's a center. And then I'm also very high on Dylan Parham. To me, you were able to find 3 players here that are really good starters in the NFL. On top of that, I am also going to throw into a name like Andres Pete, who I believe could be a good backup guard if need be. Cody Whitehair could be a guard/center. I also can throw into this ability of maybe Thayer Munford could be there. Jordan Meredith could potentially be there. Delmar Glaze could be there. So when you look at the Raiders' offensive line and the amount of players that can also play guard, can also play center, that versatility, to me, it's one of the deepest positions that this team has on the entire roster is interior offensive line. Like, I'm not even kind of worried about our guards. I'm not even kind of worried about center because if one of those guys go down, you're going to be able to put somebody in there and say, okay, I have confidence in that guy. Because of that, I got an 88 overall grade here for my confidence level in the interior O-line. Let's go to number 3, and this is one where I almost feel like I'm too low on them. It's special teams, and I do think that the Raiders have one of the best special teams units in the NFL from a kicking standpoint. You have the best punter in the NFL in A.J. Cole. You have one of the best kickers in Daniel Carlson, and I need Carlson to go back to his, 2022 ways. 2023 was a little bit of a rough season. Maybe still trying to get used to Jacob Bobenmoyer, the long snapper. Outside of that, though, Trey Tucker, I think, could be a good punt returner. Amir Abdullah, I think, could be a good kick returner. But the reason why that I have them at number 3, it's not because of Tucker. It's because of A.J. Cole and Daniel Carlson. And I know what position special teams is not as important as the quarterback, as the running back. But, if you were to legitimately look at a certain position group, that's one of the best position groups that the Raiders have. Special teams, my confidence level in them is a 93. When Carlson goes out there, I expect him to knock it through. When A.J. Cole goes out there, I expect him to flip the field. That's a big advantage that not a lot of NFL teams have. Let's go to number 2 here, and it's defensive tackle, which blows my mind that defensive tackle is this high because I have done this show every single year, and every single year defensive tackle is at the very, very bottom of this list. You went out, you signed Christian Wilkins, you brought back Adam Butler, you brought back John Jenkins. Tyree Wilson, I think, is going to get a little bit more work there, and I'm expecting big things from him. And then here's where it gets really interesting. What happens in the second year of the NFL? You see a guy like Byron Young take that next step forward. You see a guy like Nesta Jade Silvera take that next step forward. Matthew Butler, third year, second year with Antonio Pierce. What if he takes a leap forward like what Trevon Merrick did? Remember Merrick, he struggled his first 2 years. Then he got that extra year with Patrick Graham, able to take that leap forward. To me, the Raiders not only have one of the best defensive tackle units in the league, but they also have a lot of really solid depth. The Christian Wilkins move is one of the highest graded players that I have for the Raiders this year. But then also, I believe Tyree is going to really light up the board. Adam Butler, John Jenkins, names that I think if you were not paying attention to the Raiders last season, you wouldn't know how good those guys actually were. So from top to bottom, my confidence level in our Raiders defensive tackle room is a 94. Shout out to Christian Wilkins for really putting that unit together. Shout out to Telesco for building the big guys up front, which means the position group that I am the most confident in for the Silver and Black, it's wide receiver. And when you talk about one of the best in the biz, Devontae Adams is one of the best wide receivers in the National Football League, if not the best receiver. Then you got Jacoby Myers, who is a good wide receiver too. Then you add Brock Bowers, who I'm telling you right now is going to light the world on fire. And then after that, the depth's not great. You did sign Michael Gallup. You did sign Jalen Guyton. And then you got a bunch of other dudes in there. Oh, yeah. You also have one of the fastest players in the NFL, and Trey Tucker, who had some of the best separation from NFL defenses last season. My confidence level in our wide receiver unit is a 95. It's a very good freaking group, which is another reason why I kind of, beat up the Raiders a little bit for not being able to find that franchise quarterback. The price was wrong, Bobby. All I'm saying now is you have a really, really good team around that offense, especially in the spots that matter the most. Tight end, wide receiver, your offensive line is ready to go. They do need the running back position, but then again, I think it's the least important position right now in the National Football League. So let me know where we agree. Let me know where we disagree. Which position group is the best for the Las Vegas Raiders this year? If you think it's receiver, defensive tackle, maybe you think it's special teams, let me know down below where you guys think the best position group for the Silver and Black is. Now, if you guys made it this far in the video, shout out to all of y'all. Remember, you can hit me up on social media at Mitchell Renz 365. Don't be afraid to hit up Chugs either if you ever win a duck race or if you ever win something that's a little bit easier to get in contact with him on Twitter at Jeremy Chugs. We do this show for y'all, to rock with y'all. At the end of the day, we are just Raider fans. So one more time here. Here's the position group rankings. If anybody wants to take a screenshot, you can. Also, what I did is I took all the numbers together and I added them together for a grade. For me, my confidence level in the Raiders down below is an 83 grade, which kind of is on line for that 9 to 10 win season. It's kind of right on line for I am confident in this Raiders team. I can make some arguments of why they might struggle. I can also make a lot of arguments of why I think that they're going to do a lot better than people think. To me, though, if you add a quarterback, there's no reason why this wouldn't skyrocket. We're going to see what Aiden O'Connell can do. We're going to see what Gardner Minshew can do. It's going to be a hell of a battle this offseason, and all I hope is that it makes both of them a lot better for this upcoming year.